being a therapist means that many people have asked me, like, what are the secrets? Or do you have a perfect marriage? What's the number one complaint that you hear? And I often will come with, well, the line I hear quite frequently is, it's not what he says, it's how he says it. You can add she in there, same thing. It's not what she says, it's how she says it. It's the tone, right? The tone of voice that my partner uses that then can put me into a different mood. If they would have just said it without the tone, it would have been fine. I often also hear, it's just how I talk. It's just that's the way my voice, I can't hear the way I talk. I have to pay attention to everything I say and how I say it. Like, those are then the defenses that get used. So what I want us to just kind of come back and recognize is, yes, you can hear yourself. I promise you absolutely can if you pay attention. So if you sit there, and I'll give you a very good example, which kind of puts me in a crappy light, but I'll do it anyway. So my husband and I went on a hike with our kids quite a few years ago, and he asked me a question, and then I responded. I don't remember the question and the response, but I do remember I had a super bitchy tone in my response. And I remember being like, what? And I was like, I'm sorry. That came out in no way how I meant it. And I'm not even annoyed at you. I'm not even mad at you. I'm sorry. To which he was like, oh, cool. Thank you. Now, in the past, I probably would have just been like, whatever. I don't feel mad. I didn't mean to be rude. That's my tone. If he takes it in such a way, that's on him. But the fact that I was able to check myself, and I checked, I did. It was kind of like, am I annoyed? Because if I'm annoyed, then I should say something. But if I'm not annoyed, I don't just, well, I'm not annoyed, so let's keep it moving. Like, no, I did a little harm. It was rude. I had a tone in my voice that had irritation in it. Like, I was irritated with him. What does that tell my husband? You can't say things? You can't ask questions? Is that then tell him he can't bring things up to me? Right? So the fact that I can just take literally 10 seconds and say, whoa, I'm sorry, that's not how I meant it. And we were fine, right? He didn't hold on to that, and then it's not being used later. Like, well, you had a tone of voice with me earlier. You were super irritated with me, because then I'm going to deny that. No, I was, right? It's going to turn into a very process-oriented fight. We are really reactionary as people. And I will raise my hand and say, I'm one of the most reactionary people I have met. I've worked on it. I am much better. I'm aware of it. I meditate. I do a lot of things to help. But reaction is often how this conflict will happen, right? So if I have a tone of voice, or if Charlie has a tone of voice that I don't like, and I'm in a space and I hear it, and that just sets me off. Maybe we've had a couple days where we haven't been really connected, or the kids have been unruly, or we got an email. We get a lot of emails for my son. So maybe we had an email and we haven't had a chance to connect, and our food supply at home is getting low and no one's been able to go to the store. And then somebody says, what's for dinner? Done. And the tone could be like expectation, right? What am I putting on the tone? What am I hearing? What is a pattern, or maybe something that I feel like that tone is used frequently by my partner, or my partner feels there's a tone that is frequently used by me? What's the message that we take from that? So the moral is, like, we're going to have tones, because we're going to have days and we're going to have moments and we're going to be irritated. But what we want to do, the tool to start to use, is to hear. to listen, to be mindful of what is coming out of your mouth. So if there is a tone, you have two things to do. One is, if that is not how you are feeling, well, so first you have to check in, right? But if that's not how you're feeling, then call it back. Hey, sorry, that was like super sharp tone. I was like really annoyed. I am not annoyed, so I apologize. That's not the tone I wanted to use. I don't know what that was about. Or I check in and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I am annoyed because I don't even want to go on this trip, or I've had to do too much. What is it? What is it that I'm feeling? What is my issue? How do I then bring that to my partner instead of having a tone of voice and maybe hoping somehow they are going to hear it as this loving statement of feeling and need, and they are going to respond in kind? And that is never going to happen unless you are Dr. John Gottman himself and have had an amazing week with your partner, full of sex probably. So, right? Like, no, it is going to be almost impossible for your partner to be able to do all of that work on their own. But if you can call it back, then they can accept that repair and just keep it moving. So because I've heard this so many times, I am 100% sure that you've already laughed by now, or you have completely identified with this notion of tone of voice. It's not what they say, it's how they say it. And I'm hoping you might start to realize that maybe there's tones of voices that are being used that don't need to be because of habit or as a very messed up bid to connect. It's real vague and real backwards. You're likely not going to get a turning towards with a bid that has a tone of voice. Okay, so let's take some time. I want you to think about, what are the tones that trigger? What is the tone that my partner uses, maybe when they use it even? Is it when we start to get stressed and go out of the door? It's like, what goes on? There's got to be some theme, some pattern that occurs. So I want you to think about, what is a tone that triggers? And then how do I react? How do I typically react? What do I hear? What is it potentially, like, what is it triggering? What reaction is it bringing out of me? Right? Share these with each other, because then we can be more aware. We can be like, okay, so I need to work on that tone. Or, hey, when that happens, and if I don't catch it, can you help me? Can you in real time be like, hey, that's that sharp tone I was talking about? And if you've asked your partner to bring this up to you in a gentle way, and they do, I need you to listen, right? I need you to then be like, oh, okay. And then sit with it and be like, well, what else is going on? Maybe it tends to be when we're in the car. What's happening? Not, no, that's not it. And then not just completely dismiss your partner because you asked them to. They're going out on a limb, calling out this behavior that they don't want to call out because they probably don't want to get into a fight. And if you have asked them to, I need you to listen and be like, oh, okay, let me sit with that. And then change it, repair it, and then sit with it to say, is it that I'm frustrated? Is this a just very habitual way that I tend to speak when I'm in the car and that I can work on, but at least I have an awareness to it? So take some time, write those things down, right? You've got the form to do so. You can always print out more copies and write more if there's more, and then share them with one another with an open heart, not a defensive one. Because so much of our conflict comes from reacting. We get triggered, amygdala, gets activated, right? Our fear-based center gets activated. Boom, shuts down that prefrontal cortex. So if we hear a tone, we react, and then we're off into very process town, well, then it's harder to start to repair, because now it's, well, you had a tone. No, I didn't. And that's where we go. If you can be more mindful of what you are saying, what is coming out of your mouth, And then recognizing even if I said something shitty and then my partner doesn't even say anything, I should still come back and say that wasn't right. Because how does Beth want to show up in this marriage? I want to be able to be mindful, recognize, because there might be something else going on that I'm not paying attention to if I'm just being snappy and shitty to people, but I'm not mad at them. What else is going on? Being mindful of what's going on in our life and in our heart and how we're feeling, what we are thinking, and what we need helps us clearly communicate that. So much of this work that I am asking of you guys is to be so much more mindful of self, right? Pay attention to what comes out of your mouth. Call it back. And when your partner shares with you those tones that trigger them and how they react, believe them. And then let's work to do better. How do we do better? So start with this and we'll get into how we do better. But this is a really important part because we need to know what tones we are using that are creating a reaction in our partner. And as the partner, we need to pay attention to how we're reacting and how can we maybe repair that sooner. What role can we play in repairing that interaction? Because there are two people in there, and sometimes one of you has just the bandwidth more so than the other one to be able to try to repair an interaction. If you both have it, amazing, right? That is the goal. Sometimes only one of us can. And that's okay, because it will come back. All right, enjoy this exercise. This is a tougher one. It can bring up some emotion. And again, as always, pay attention to what is coming up for you. I really would hope that you have a journal, that you're journaling your way through all of these exercises and this entire course so that you have some awarenesses. So that if and when you decide to come to therapy, you've kind of got some things that maybe were harder for you or that felt really good, and that we'll be able to work on further. All right, take care.